Welcome, Cancer, to your in-depth weekly astrology overview and zodiac forecast for week commencing the 8th of June for the ascendant, the sun, or the moon. Going to share with you the big themes of the week ahead first. On the screen is your event chart. At the beginning of the week, I'll unpack that for you. It's always important. I'll then go through each of the influences in detail. By the end of the forecast, you'll have a clear picture of what's upcoming in terms of energy, work, relationships, or finances. I'm astrologer Patrick Arundel. A very warm welcome. If you've yet to subscribe to my channel, please do so now to help it to continue to thrive. But please also click or tap the bell notification symbol. One of the things that I think frustrates people who don't really get astrology is that you can have paradoxes. In other words, you can have contrasting energies at the same time that are very different. So this week for you, with Venus and Jupiter in your sign reaching a high point of the connection they've been building for the last week, that gives you a chance to absolutely sparkle, draw a lot of goodness to you. Just at a time when there's energy in the more challenging part of your chart, the 12th house, that can be amplified. So it may feel at times this week where, yes, there is the chance to have some lovely moments, but also some issues or strands that you're not enjoying can just take on a life force of their own. But that conjunction between Venus and Jupiter does have a lot of promise. But what I can tell you is that later this week, Venus is going to be moving into a part of your chart which can bring an uptick around your finances over the following 3 or 4 weeks. So on the screen now, Cancer, is your event chart. As ever, we need to be mindful of your ruler, the moon, but also the sun. So the moon begins this week in the sign of Pisces, which shares your water triplicity. The moon here has a real desire to expand, download knowledge, and you may even want to just change things up a little bit and break out of any restrictions. But there's a quarter moon on Monday. Those happen twice a month. This one in the ninth house can be very much about the amplification of sensitivities, but the sun for you is in that very psychological 12th house. So if there is something rather delicate you're dealing with, it just could seem that much bigger. However, what we do have on Tuesday is Venus and Jupiter coming into that conjunction. Now, in terms of your personal identity, Venus can be about how we dress. If you're a dedicated follower of fashion, you may not feel you need to tweak your approach. But Jupiter very much is going to give you more confidence because over the last year of Jupiter being in your sign, I don't feel you have had a really easy Jupiter return because Saturn squared off to it when it first arrived. But this does give you a chance to feel good about yourself. And if you are a creative person, maybe start something different which really fits your soul purpose. Because the big picture, Cancer, is that with Mercury in your sign now and squaring up as the week goes on with Saturn, if you're not enjoying your work, it's going to show up again. And it keeps me in a bit of a theme. And that is because Saturn and Neptune are right at the top of your chart. So if you do something that you're quite happy to be very disciplined about, working a pattern, fit into whatever is expected, perhaps in the big business, not a problem. But if you're someone who's perhaps a more born again bohemian, those energies are much more difficult to work with. The other thing that happens this week is that Uranus in your 12th house now for the next 7 years is going to have a habit of keep pushing into the open things that you may not really want to look at. And because we have a clash between Uranus and the nodal axis, which becomes exact on Friday, that's what's called nodal bending. And Uranus is the point. So the North Node's in the ninth house of your philosophies, your need for personal freedom to find your voice. The South Node's very much to do with your everyday reality. But because Uranus is in a psychological area, but is innately very restless, something that you've been talking about or thinking about or talking about can be challenged by just this energy that can put you on edge, and it may be hard to ignore. So that could push something into the open that does need confronting, because Uranus is all about our higher purpose, but also about essentially being very self-honest. And the 12th house is being honest about or looking at some of the things that we can all find a bit challenging to embrace, our vulnerabilities, our fears. So that could come up as the week goes on. But then, beautifully, on Saturday, Venus moves into Leo. Now, Leo and Venus is a wonderful combination. And if you're someone who has a real appreciation of good food and wine, you could be dining out in the weeks to come, or hunting down some really good providence in terms of local food or organics. But also the second house position of Venus, because it is the planet of money, can see an uptick in your income, which is really exciting. So I'm going to summarize those four areas for you. Cancer, of your energy, work, relationships, and finances next. But just to say, I've slashed the price of my personal horoscope reports. For many years, it was buy two, get 30% off. Now, because of the cost of living increases, I'm trying to help do my bit. So you buy one and get three. So the one you pay for is your life roadmap report. And that's the most important chart any of us can ever get, because it helps us to understand who we are and the patterns that we're playing out. And if those patterns keep repeating and not always in a good way, this helps us to understand more and work with that better future forwards. 3 is your 12 months transit forecast, and also your draconic soul analysis. If you don't have your North Node natally, late in Pisces or early in Aries, your draconic chart can look profoundly different. Please see below for more. Draconic helps us to understand life, ourselves, and astrology in a very different way. If you've yet to watch your June monthly forecast, that's on the screen. Your Chiron into Taurus, for the first time in 50 years, restarting its journey, that's on the screen. If you'd like to work with me one-to-one, it'd be an absolute pleasure. Please see my testimonials below. And if you've yet to sign up for your free daily written horoscope fired to your device each morning, please take advantage of that. People can be a bit sniffy about daily zodiac forecast. But you know, even if you have your date of birth daily forecast, that actually doesn't give you an overview in the same way as the daily zodiac forecast, because that tells you where the planets are as a whole. It doesn't tell you what to do, it gives you the knowledge to make your own decisions. So for me, they're still very important. So, to summarize, as far as your energy is concerned, I think if there are any issues bubbling around in the background that have been making you feel uncertain, a bit insecure, you're going to need to look at them this week because of that quarter moon and the nodal bending that comes through Uranus to the two nodes. But you know, if you do take them on, because the ninth house energy of the node and the moon at the start of this week is all about really confronting things and gaining knowledge from doing so. As far as your personal uh, appearance is concerned, I feel that Venus and Jupiter coming together can make you feel really great, and that can feed into your love life for sure. And maybe is that someone is going to show up and be drawn to the energy that you're giving out. But as far as your career is concerned, if you are someone who wants to do things more in your own unique way, that can be a challenge with that Mercury square with Saturn, no doubt about it. If, however, you're in a career which is creative and helps you to express yourself, as I've been saying in recent weeks, and you're in touch with your soul purpose, I don't see an issue. As far as money is concerned, Venus and Jupiter essentially together can be lucky just because they're not in your second or eighth houses doesn't mean they can't still be lucky. They can be. They are the planets of fortune. But Venus moving into Leo at the end of the week, that's the one that can really bring some providence your way over the next few weeks. Thank you so much for joining me, Cancer. All the best. Have a great week and goodbye for now.